Good afternoon. My name is Joseph Lloyd and I source cars for people on a professional basis. Although most of the cars I source are between £1,000 and £5,000, very often I've been asked to show something a little bit cheaper on the channel, and so I came up with No Budget Reviews, the series where we look at cars that you can buy in good condition with an MOT for under £1,000 and you can enjoy driving. We don't film this in an expensive manner, we don't use separate microphones, we don't use dual head tripods, we don't even use a DSLR, but we do have a lot of fun.
Well, viewers, it's another No Budget Reviews collaboration, courtesy of Mr. Richardson from Furiousdriving. This isn't a rip-off of him, by the way, because we are firmly within the territory of things we can talk about on the channel, such as this 1995 Rover 420 GSI Tourer. The 420 is actually quite a rare model. It was only available, from what I understand, as a GSI, and only available until sort of late autumn of 1995. This car came out, I think, actually in the sort of late summer to early autumn of 1994. So the 420s, and they were all GSIs, are quite rare. It's far more common to see the 416 SLI. The rarest variant, though, of this car actually had the 1.8 VVCK series engine, and it was only available for a few months, and they only made about 9 of them. When the successor to the R8 200 and 400, and this is known as an R8, this car, as well as the 3-door hatch, 5-door hatch, the saloon, the coupe and the cabrio, they're all for the R8 platform. When the successor model to the 400 came out in 1995, which is known as the HHR 400, Rover started to rationalise their names, and they actually just called the other variants still in production the Cabriolet or convertible. I think it was Cabriolet it was marketed under, although when Mr. Richardson had one of those he tended to refer to it as convertible, which is fine. That's what most people seem to refer to them these days as. The coupe, which we've driven 2 of on this channel already. One belongs to Mr. Richardson, the other belongs to Mr. Chris James, who's provided tons of cars for No Budget Reviews. And you have a Tourer like this one. So after, I think it was 1997, these are all just called the Rover 1.6 Tourer, I think, or 1.6 SE Tourer was the top model. Originally, along with the 420, you could get a 1.6 D-Series Honda engine, which I have had in many cars myself. In fact, I've owned 3 cars with that engine, and you could get an auto as well as a manual, a normal kind of auto. After the Honda engine was discontinued and this was discontinued, round about kind of late 1995, early 1996, the dashboard was actually changed in this car to more resemble the one that was in the R3 200, but was launched around that time, around the end of 1995. This though has the early dash. It's the last variant of the early dash with the driver's airbag. Now the airbag light's actually not in the dashboard. It doesn't fit. This dashboard was never designed for it. So that's actually the airbag light there. It's actually a car that I've been wanting to drive for a really long time. Not necessarily specifically this one, although when Mr. Richardson bought this, I think it was last year he got this, I obviously wanted to have a go in it because he bought it with an MOT, and he bought it for No Budget Reviews money, which means that, yeah, we can review this car in the No Budget Reviews format. I don't think you'll find many though for this sort of money, because they tend to change hands, and just a standard 416 SLI, that's the most common type of them. They tend to change hands for about £3,000 to £4,000 in good condition now. This one, yeah, it wasn't as much as that, but it doesn't matter. Mechanically, actually, this car's quite good. Let's take a look in the boot. That's probably one of the reasons why somebody would have bought this particular variant of this car originally. So we can use the key, or there's a little popper. On the right hand side of the driver's seat, we'll use the key today. Paint on this car, by the way, is pretty bad. It's really bad. That's something that Mr. Richardson does know about, so there's no need to say. This cover's a little bit awkward, so I'm going to leave it just kind of like that, because it is a bit fiddly. So we're going to leave that. I've actually, just for the purposes of the filming, I took the stuff out of my car and I put my stuff in here as well. So we've, loaded up, and the boot's not the deepest. I think that's because of the Honda's type suspension in the back of it. Obviously, this is based on the same platform as the Honda Concerto, which is very similar to the 4th generation Civic. So it's not the deepest boot, but it's not bad. It's the biggest boot, I think, of all the R8 models, certainly. So we'll just push that out of the way. We'll see if we can lift these carpets up. This might take a while. There we go. And we've got the spare wheel and things under there, which is good. I'll just put this back the place it should have been. It is very fiddly to sort of do that, so I'm not going to. I don't want to be here forever. In about '97 as well, they stopped putting the trim badges and things back of these cars. So for ones that are actually 1.6 Tourers, or even the very rare 1.8 VBCs, don't have anything on the back like this, not at all. It was a policy Rover, I think, undertook in about 1997. They just removed all of these, and so if you see one, it'll just say Rover 400 or 200, but because the car wasn't being marketed as that at the time, it just won't say anything at all. This one, though, does. Right, so that's my driving position. I am about 5'11", as Paul on the Project Idle channel guessed the other day. He actually got it wrong, but never mind, viewers. That's not bad. I mean, we've got saggy headlining, which is a really common problem with the R8s and lots of other Rovers and Jaguars and tons of other cars at the time, but that's not a problem. I think you can probably still get something to do this headlining again if you want to, but you could just leave it. Windy windows in the rear, which is interesting because the 216 GSI that I drove, which was a 5-door, early 5-door R8 in 1990, on the channel back in 2021, had rear electric windows. This, a more expensive version, does not. It does not have rear electric windows at all. Maybe it was an option, I don't know. Those look suspiciously like Rover Metro window winders. If anybody knows if that's the case, please put that in the comment section below. Got a little ashtray here. Got that famous sunroof cover that Jeremy Clarkson, I think, described as being like a Ford Orion from the 80s or something at one point. Maybe that was the 800 coupe, I can't remember. Oh dear, that's not great. You get your foot caught in that. You've got to be a bit careful. Build quality of this car for the sort of price point it was and the era of the car is actually quite good. But bearing in mind this is right at the end of production for this car in terms of when it was supposed to be replaced. The Coupe, Cabriolet and Tourer were kept on longer because we didn't want to create new variants just for that. So it's one of the later examples of it, but it's pretty good. There's the famous area for hot beverages Mr. Richardson likes. No air conditioning. I think it could have been an option, but I'm not sure. And then the switches, which I've always kind of thought was a bit sort of haphazard putting them here. Having owned two R8s myself, one of them was an even later one than this. It was a 96 registered car in this colour, which is Night Fire Red, I think. This is Night Fire Red. It's a real registration, registered October 96, but it was an R8 5-door. Having owned sort of one like this, I always thought that was a bit weird. I don't really know why. Coin tray with no coins written on there. And a little fuse. Electric mirror switch there. It's a very similar mirror switch to the one in my 45 V6. That stock I actually gave to Mr. Richardson. It was out of my collection years ago when I had a 45 hatchback. I got some spare ones, and that's actually out of my own collection, which is really funny. That's why it looks a little bit different from that on the side, because it's actually for a 45. It's not for this, but they're interchangeable anyway, so that's why that looks different. Yeah, the sunroof cover there, electric sunroof. I'm not going to touch that. I'm a bit wary about sunroofs in old cars, viewers. Let's have a look in here. And we do know that that should take my secret mission documents, which I'll have to find. But that's for a different type of RX, a 200 series. But yes, clock actually seems to work in there as well, which is remarkable. Often they go wrong. Right, let's take a look under the bonnet of the lovely T-Series engine. So viewers, here we have the 2-litre T-Series normally aspirated engine, developing 136 horsepower, which is, to be honest, in this car, it's absolutely plenty. I think 0 to 60 was about 9 seconds. If you really wanted to, you could swap in a T-Series turbo in here with 197 horsepower out of the very rare 420 GSI Turbo saloon, or of course out of the coupe, the Tomcat. Those had those. You could do that. You could obviously fit a 1.8 VVC engine as well, because some of them even had them. Worth bearing in mind is actually that the gearbox on the Honda engine models, the early 416 is on this side over here. The K-Series and the T-Series turn the opposite way entirely, so like I always said with these R8s, Rover had to completely re-engineer the car to accept an engine that turned one way and the other, which is absolutely insane. But that's what they did. Coolant reservoir, they're very familiar. I think they used those up until the end of Rover 25 production and MGZR production. Same with the other K-Series ones. Brake servo is actually not remote on this car, it's right in front of you, which is good. Brakes seem good in this car. I can't even remember if we've got ABS. We might not have ABS in this actually. Might do. I'll have to look when you have a warning lights come on. But yeah, it's not too bad actually. It's relatively simple to work on. I'm not going to go into any detail about D-Series and K-Series engines. You've heard me talk about them with the R8 Series 200 400 so many times. What I'm more interested in, though, viewers, is going for a drive. I think it's going to be fun. I'm delighted to say that MG Rover content on this channel is still sponsored by Discount MG Rover Spares, or DMGRS. And here I am at their offices just near Southampton. So if you need parts for your 45, ZS, ZT, or any other model from the MG Rover era, and actually a little bit before that, then I'll put a link in the video description below. But my car's actually got 2 exclusive DMGRS solutions to it. It's got a metal thermostat housing, which is for the KV6 engine, and it's also got an upgraded heater resistor. But there are loads of other unique things. You can get the Sheddist kit, which is for manual 45s and ZS's. Lots of other things as well. And I'm very grateful to Scott, Max and Matt at DMGRS for continuing to help keep this car on the road by offering me some discounted parts, which is wonderful. So don't forget to visit DMGRS by clicking the link in the video description below. So viewers, a very familiar road we're going to be driving on to a lot of you who are fans of the Furiousdriving channel, and even my channel. We filmed loads of videos on this road actually. So the base engine when this car was launched in 1994 was the good old Honda D-Series that produced 111 horsepower. You could either get a 5-speed manual, I think it's a Honda PG1 gearbox in those, or a 4-speed auto. Then there was this engine, the wonderful T-Series, only available in this car in normally aspirated form, producing 136 horsepower and only available as a manual. Honda PG1 gearboxes can be very good. Unfortunately, when they get really high mileage, they're very old, such as the one that I
was using in Mr. Richardson's Tomcat Coupe in 2019, they can get very imprecise, and that's caused normally for some bushes to be sort of rebuilt and things like that. In late 95, early 96, that Honda engine was replaced with a 1.6 K-series engine, producing 109 horsepower. So not a huge difference from the Honda one. That was available with a 5-speed manual, and also the CVT. I've actually tried that CVT gearbox in a Rover R3 216, and it's not great, viewers. I wouldn't recommend that, to be honest. So until, as far as I could see, about 96, 97, the cars were marketed as the 400 Tourer, and then later the very briefly VVC Tourer, and then the 1.6 and 1.6 SE Tourer. Oh, there's something very important I had to say, viewers. Due to controversial government legislation and all kinds of other reasons, there was a Peugeot-derived diesel engine available, but as usual, we don't talk about diesels on this channel. When you're having this much fun with this torquey T-Series of 136 horsepower, who needs to discuss forbidden fuel? It's really good, this car. R8s can be really good to drive, particularly with alloy wheels, and this car's got alloy wheels on it, and it's got a really good seat in it, a very comfortable seat. They're much better than the ones in the SLIs I used to have. So this makes this car, but we've got a footrest in here for my left foot. It makes it very, very nice to drive indeed. I'm really impressed. Ride handling seemed very good for a car that's covered 130,000 miles and is over 25 years old. I think that's pretty good, viewers. I don't know what else to say. I've been raving about these cars for many, many years on my channel. I think the first one I had on my channel was almost 3 years ago, and I see why Mr. Richardson, who owns 2 R8s and has owned more in the past, really likes them, because I like them too. So viewers, what should you look out for if you want to buy one of these cars? Well, the first thing's obviously rust. Really do check for rust. This car doesn't need some further rust repairs on it. I think that's pretty obvious. Second thing is, make sure the timing belt on your car has been done. Now, all the engines in this car, especially the ones that we can talk about, do have a timing belt. Make sure that's been done. I think this one's due at some point in this car. Thirdly, watch these key fobs. They can go out of sync with the car's systems, and so just make sure that that works. It is a bit of a pain if it doesn't. Third thing is the heater resistor. This goes right the way through to the end of things like Rover 25 and MGZR and MGZS and Rover 45 production. Just make sure the heater works on all speeds. DMGRS do a kit to actually fix this on these cars. It's not particularly expensive, but it's just better if you buy a car where it works. It's not the worst job ever, but it is a bit of a pain if it's not working. So, should you buy a Rover 400 Tourer or 1.6 Tourer with your hard-earned budget up to £1,000? Well, you might not get the best example for £1,000 if you could even find one with an MOT money. Mr. Richardson did, and this is the result. He's not done too much to this car so far. Future plans are afoot too. But if you can find one, if you maybe, I don't know, up your budget a little bit, not allowed to say that really, viewers, and spend a little bit more, then you might get a really, really good one. And yes, no surprise here, but I quite like this. Anyway, thank you ever so much indeed once again for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel and like this video, leave a comment below, and we'll see you again soon for more inexpensive motoring.
Lloyd Consulting stickers. t-shirts and mugs are available by clicking the link to the Google form in the video description below.